Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving deep into Tailwind app today.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it's a tool that's making a splash, especially if Pinterest and Instagram are key parts of what you do.
I've heard some buzz.
Yeah, our source today is a brand new blog post over at blogwidow.com,
Okay.
published just yesterday, February 9th, 2025. And they really get into how Tailwind could be a game changer.
I'm intrigued.
So let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
So one thing that stood out to me right away was that Tailwind isn't trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It seems like they're very focused on a few key groups.
That's a good strategy, actually.
It is, right. It means they can tailor their features to specific needs.
Exactly.
So let's talk about who these people are that Tailwind is targeting.
Sure.
The blog post lists a few, but I'm curious to get your take on why those groups are the focus.
You bet.
So first up, we've got small to medium businesses, your SMBs.
Right, your bread and butter.
Exactly. And often these companies don't have huge marketing teams or big budgets.
Why?
So the idea of automating some of those social media tasks is incredibly appealing.
I can see that.
Right. It's all about efficiency.
Absolutely. Especially when you're wearing multiple hats, as many SMB owners are.
Right. Exactly.
You're the CEO, the marketer, the customer service rep, all rolled into one.
So next on the list, we have bloggers and content creators.
Ah, yes. The folks who live and breathe traffic from platforms like Pinterest and Instagram.
They do.
Tailwind helps them streamline that whole process of creating and scheduling visually appealing content.
Makes sense. So they can focus more on the creative side.
Exactly. It's a huge time saver.
That's key.
It is. And speaking of time savers, e-commerce brands are another big one.
Oh, for sure. Pinterest is a gold mine for them.
It is, being a visual search engine. It's a perfect platform to showcase products.
Right. And Tailwind helps them get those products in front of the right audience.
Precisely. You can make your products look fantastic and boost your sales.
So it's not just scheduling. It's really about leveraging that visual power of Pinterest.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so who else benefits from Tailwind?
Let's see. We've got social media managers and agencies.
Ah, yes, the folks juggling a million things at once.
They are multiple clients, campaigns, all those accounts to manage.
I wouldn't want their job.
It's a lot, but Tailwind's bulk scheduling and in-depth analytics can be huge time savers.
I bet.
It takes a lot of the stress out of staying organized.
Oh, absolutely.
And last but not least, we have influencers and personal brands.
Right, the folks who need to be consistently putting out great content.
Exactly, and that's where Tailwind shines, helping them maintain that posting schedule and engage their audience.
All while making it look effortless.
Well, almost effortless.
Right, it takes some work, but Tailwind takes some of the pressure off.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good understanding of who Tailwind is for,
We do?
but how does it actually work?
Good question.
The blog post outlines a 6-step process,
Okay.
and they emphasize how user-friendly it
It
is.
is. That's one of Tailwind's strengths for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you start by integrating your Pinterest and Instagram accounts.
Simple enough.
Right. And then you get into content scheduling using their drag and drop calendar.
Okay.
Super intuitive, very visual.
I like that. I'm a visual person.
Me too. It makes planning so much easier.
Absolutely. The blog post also mentioned a browser extension for Pinterest.
Oh yeah, that's a lifesaver.
So you can just grab pins from any website,
You got it. Saves tons of time.
especially if you're curating content from all over the place.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that brings us to step 3, where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
This is where Tailwind's smart schedule comes into play.
Different schedule, huh?
Yeah, it's not just about picking times to post.
Yeah.
It's about using AI to optimize your schedule.
Hold on. AI scheduling.
You heard that right.
I'm a little skeptical. How can an algorithm know my audience better than I do?
Well, that's the cool part.
Okay.
Smart Schedule analyzes your audience data and learns their behavior patterns.
So like when they're most active online.
Exactly. What kind of content they engage with, even their time zones.
That's pretty impressive.
It is. And then it uses all that data to suggest the best times to post your content.
Okay, so it's not just randomly picking times.
Not at all. It's all based on real data.
I'm starting to see the appeal.
Right. It's like having a data scientist on your team.
Working behind the scenes to make sure your content gets seen.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say my content is scheduled and ready to go. What's next?
Now we move on to step 4, the design phase.
Okay, tell me more.
This is where Tailwind Create comes in.
Tailwind Create.
It's like having an AI-powered graphic designer at your fingertips.
Wait, AI can design stuff for me now.
It can. You can customize templates, add your branding, create professional-looking visuals in minutes.
Wow, I'm all for making things easier, but I'm also a bit hesitant to hand over creative control to a machine.
I get it.
Can it really capture my brand's unique style?
That's the thing. It actually learns from your existing content. It picks up on your branding, your preferences. The more you use it, the more it understands your style.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
And you always have the final say.
Good.
You can customize everything, the colors, fonts, layouts, images.
So it's more of a collaboration.
Exactly. The AI gives you a starting point. You take it from there.
I like that. Okay, so what about the last two steps?
All right, step 5 is all about data.
Data's important.
It is. Tailwind gives you in-depth analytics and reports on how your posts are performing.
Oh, that's useful.
It is. You see how your audience is engaging, what your growth trends look like.
So you can actually see what's working and what's not.
Exactly. And then you can use that data to refine your strategy.
Smart.
And finally, step 6 is where you can tap into the power of community.
Community. Okay.
Yeah, Tailwind has this feature called Tribes.
Tribes. Interesting.
It's a way to connect with like-minded individuals, share content, and expand your reach.
So it's not just about working in isolation.
Right. It's about collaboration.
I like that.
It's a powerful way to grow your audience.
Okay, so we've covered who Tailwind is for and how it works.
We have.
But what about the nitty-gritty? The strengths and weaknesses?
Ah, yes, the important stuff.
But the blog post mentions a few, but I want to hear your take on what those really mean for someone who's considering using Tailwind.
Let's do it.
Let's break it down.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we've talked about the features, who Tailwind is designed for, but I'm really curious about this whole success thing on social media.
Oh, yeah, good point.
The blog post touches on it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like there's so much more to unpack there.
Absolutely. I mean,
Like, you can have the best tools in the world,
right.
but if you don't have a clear strategy and understanding of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's all for nothing.
So let's zoom out for a second.
Okay.
What's the point of all this social media effort in the first place?
Well, at its core, it's about connecting with your audience,
Right.
building awareness, driving traffic, generating leads.
Fostering a community.
Exactly. It all comes down to achieving your specific goals.
Right, and those goals are going to be different
Oh, for sure.
for every person, brand, business.
Absolutely.
Tailwind can help you schedule those posts,
Mm-hmm.
design great content,
Yeah.
but it can't tell you what to post or who to target.
Right. That's where the human element comes in.
Exactly. Understanding your audience, that's crucial.
Couldn't agree more.
And Tailwind's analytics can give you some insights,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately it's up to you to interpret that data and
Yeah.
make those strategic decisions.
It's a partnership, the tool, and the human working together.
I like that, a partnership.
It is.
So let's take those target audiences we talked about
Yeah.
and think about how Tailwind can play a role in helping them reach those different goals.
Sounds good.
Let's start with e-commerce brands.
Okay.
What does success look like for them on Pinterest? How can Tailwind help them get there?
Well, I'd say driving sales is a pretty big one for e-commerce.
Makes sense.
Pinterest is a visual search engine, so it's a natural fit for showcasing products.
Right. And Tailwind can help them capitalize on that visual aspect.
Absolutely. Remember, Tailwind Create.
Mm-hmm.
It can help you create those stunning product pins.
Right. The ones that make people stop scrolling
Exactly. Grab attention.
and hopefully click through to your website.
Idea.
But it's not just about pretty pictures.
Yep.
You need to make sure those pins are being seen by the right people.
At the right time.
Yes, and that's where Smart Schedule comes in.
It does.
It figures out when your target audience is most likely to be on Pinterest
Mm-hmm.
and schedules your pins accordingly.
Increases those chances of your products being seen.
When people are actually in a buying mood.
Precisely. It's like having a virtual assistant.
Who knows exactly when to show your products to the most receptive audience?
I like that analogy.
Me too. And what about those tribes we talked about earlier?
Ah, yes, tribes.
How do they fit into the e-commerce strategy?
Well, they can be incredibly valuable for e-commerce brands because it's a way to connect with other businesses and influencers in their niche.
Ah, I see.
So you're sharing content within a tribe,
Mm-hmm.
exposing your products to a wider audience.
Makes sense. So it's not just about scheduling and designing.
Right.
It's about that community aspect as well.
Absolutely. Collaboration is key.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for e-commerce.
Mm-hmm.
But what about someone like a food blogger?
Oh, yeah, good one.
Their goals are probably going to be quite different.
For sure, for a food blogger, Pinterest might be less about direct sales
Right.
and more about driving traffic back to their website.
Where they can showcase their recipes, build an email list.
Maybe sell cookbooks, online courses, things like that.
Okay, so their Pinterest strategy is more about enticing people to click through
Yeah,
and explore their content further.
exactly. And Tailwind can help them create those click-worthy pins.
The ones that make you hungry just looking at them.
Absolutely. Mouth-watering food photography, enticing descriptions, clear calls to action.
Encouraging people to visit their website.
And of course, Smart Schedule can make sure those pins are being seen by food lovers
At the right time.
when they're most likely to be browsing for recipes.
Exactly.
And I imagine tribes can be valuable for food bloggers too.
Definitely. Connecting with other food bloggers, recipe enthusiasts, helps expand their reach.
Get their content in front of a targeted audience.
Precisely.
It's amazing how the same tool can be used in so many different ways.
It really is, depending on what you're trying to achieve.
So we've talked about e-commerce, food bloggers. Now I'm curious about someone like a travel influencer.
Interesting.
What does success look like for them on Pinterest? And how might Tailwind help them get there?
Well, for a travel influencer, Pinterest is all about building their brand,
Okay.
showcasing their adventures and inspiring their followers to explore new destinations.
So it's less about direct sales or traffic,
Right.
more about creating that visual identity, a sense of wanderlust.
Exactly. They want their Pinterest boards to be like digital travel brochures, filled with stunning imagery, captivating stories.
Transporting people to far-off places.
Sounds dreamy.
It is.
And how does Tailwind fit into that strategy?
Well, once again, Tailwind Create comes into play. It can help them create those visually stunning pins that capture the essence of their travels.
Using the design tools to create collages, add text overlays.
Really bring those stories to life.
I can see that.
And of course, Smart Schedule plays a role too,
It does, right.
making sure those pins are seen by people who are actively looking for travel inspiration.
At the times they're most likely to be daydreaming about their next vacation.
Exactly. Timing is everything.
It really is.
And what about tribes?
Are they relevant for travel influencers too?
Oh, absolutely. Connecting with other travel bloggers, photographers, travel brands helps them tap into a wider audience of travel enthusiasts,
Okay, makes sense.
get their content seen by more people who are genuinely interested in what they have to offer.
It's fascinating to see how the same tool can be used in so many different ways.
It is, depending on your goals and your target audience.
So it's less about the tool itself
Right.
and more about the strategic thinking behind it.
Exactly. Tailwind can be a powerful asset, but it's up to you to define what success looks like
For your brand, your business.
and then use the tool strategically to achieve those goals.
Okay, this has been so insightful.
Glad to hear it.
I'm starting to see Tailwind in a whole new light.
I'm sensing a Tailwind convert.
Maybe. It's not just about scheduling posts. It's about leveraging those features to build a real strategy for success on Pinterest and Instagram.
That's the key takeaway.
It is. Okay.
As you continue to explore Tailwind or any other social media marketing tool,
Yeah.
remember to keep asking those key questions. What are my goals? Who's my audience? And how can this tool help me bridge that gap?
Those are words to live by in the social media world.
They are.
Okay, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Before we wrap up part 2 of our deep dive, any final thoughts for our listeners?
You know, it's easy to get caught up in the pursuit of followers, likes, share.
Yeah, those vanity metrics.
They are, but true success on social media goes beyond that.
Deeper than that.
It does. Think about the long-term impact you want to create.
Right.
Are you building a community?
Establishing yourself as an expert?
Driving meaningful engagement? Those are the things that matter.
That's a great point. It's about the quality of those interactions, not just the quantity.
Exactly. And as we head into part 3 of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want you to think about this. What does authenticity mean to you in the context of social media?
Ooh, interesting question.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
How can you use a tool like Tailwind to amplify your authentic voice and connect with your audience on a deeper level?
That's something to chew on.
It is.
It is. Welcome back, everyone. So we've really dug into the nuts and bolts of Tailwind app.
We have.
But you left us with a really interesting question last time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how do we balance authenticity with using a tool to schedule and optimize our social media?
Right. It's a, it can feel like a contradiction.
It does,
Yeah.
right. Like,
Yeah.
we want to put our best foot forward, have that polished look, but not come off as fake or robotic.
You don't want to be too slick.
Exactly. Like, we're hiding behind a perfectly curated facade.
Nobody likes that.
So how do we strike that balance?
That's the question.
How can we be strategic and use tools like Tailwind effectively, but still, let our true selves shine through?
I think it starts with getting clear on what authenticity means to you.
Okay.
What are the values you want to project? What are you passionate about? What makes you or your brand unique?
It's about getting back to basics.
It is, yeah. Once you've nailed down those core elements, you can start weaving them into your content.
So even in like a visually driven, often curated space like Pinterest or Instagram,
Yeah.
there's room for personality.
Oh, absolutely. It's not about oversharing personal details or being unprofessional.
Okay.
It's about finding ways to connect with your audience on a human level.
Human level, I like that.
Yeah, show them there's a real person behind the brand.
Makes you relatable.
It does.
Okay, so how do we do that?
How do we do that, practically speaking?
Yeah, what are some ways to inject authenticity into our social media?
Well, one way is to share behind-the-scenes content.
Okay.
Give your audience a glimpse into your process, your workspace, those everyday moments that make up your brand story.
Okay, like pulling back the curtain a bit.
Exactly. People are curious about how things work. It makes you more relatable.
It does, it does.
Another way is through storytelling.
Storytelling.
Share anecdotes, personal experiences, or even customer stories that tie back to your brand.
So instead of just pushing products or services,
Right.
we're weaving in the human element.
Exactly. The WHY behind what you do.
The why, yeah.
And don't be afraid to show vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
We all face challenges, make mistakes, have those moments of self-doubt.
It makes you human.
It does. And sharing those experiences authentically can make you more relatable to your audience.
Shows you're not just projecting this perfect image.
Exactly. Because nobody's perfect.
Nobody is, and no one wants to follow someone who seems flawless all the time.
Right. It's not realistic.
It's not.
And it's not relatable.
So this is where a tool like Tailwind can actually be really helpful.
It can. Yeah.
It might seem counterintuitive,
It might.
but while it helps you schedule and optimize your content,
Yeah.
it also frees up your time and energy to focus on crafting those authentic stories.
Exactly. You're not bogged down in the logistics.
Right.
You can channel your energy into the creative human side of things.
So Tailwind's kind of like your social media sidekick,
I like that.
handling the technical stuff so you can be the storyteller,
You got it.
the voice that connects with your audience.
That's the goal.
And you mentioned analytics before.
I did.
Can those insights help us be more authentic too?
Absolutely, yeah. Tailwind's analytics can show you what types of content your audience responds to most authentically.
Okay.
Which posts get the most engagement, what kind of stories resonate.
So it's valuable feedback.
It is. It helps you figure out what feels most genuine and engaging.
What really connects.
Exactly. And as you do that, you'll naturally gravitate towards a style and a voice that truly represents who you are.
Awesome. I love it. This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has been fun.
I feel like we've gone beyond just a tool review
We have.
and really gotten into what it means to succeed on social media in a meaningful way.
That's what we aim for.
And I think it's something to keep in mind as you navigate this world.
You know?
Whether you're using Tailwind or any other platform,
Right.
the most powerful asset you have is your own unique voice and perspective.
Couldn't agree more.
Let that shine through.
It will.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Tailwind app.
Time flies.
It does. I've learned so much, not just about the features, but about, those broader strategies for building an authentic and engaging presence online.
I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Likewise, remember, social media is a journey, not a destination.
Ooh, I like that.
Be patient, experiment, and most importantly, be true to yourself.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep being awesome.